Good afternoon, everyone. We're super excited to be here in Miami Community Newspapers. Thank you, Grant and Michael, for this opportunity. I'm Danielle Dubuc Whitman, serving as Executive Director for FCC USA Fútbol con Corazón. And today, we have an amazing, incredible woman guest champion for the community, Rebecca Fishman Lipsey, who serves as CEO, President of the Miami Foundation. And this podcast today is going to be Give Miami Day edition. Okay?
Yes.
That's why, she's glowing purple. Yes, we're so happy to have you, Rebecca.
In my glittery purple. And I have to say, I really appreciated seeing you roll in here today with a little lavender.
Trying to get, I don't have purple, but my heart is purple. And I think the entire Miami community is purple. I know there's there's big announcements. Yeah. And I'm so excited that you took the time to be here. Your agenda is hectic with not only the foundation things, but everything that is coming with Give Miami Day. We're going to discuss about that. And still, you took the time to come here and be in the community. I love that, to voice your why, the plans, the strategies. So thank you so much for being here. It means a lot.
I am so excited to be here with you. This is Miami's week. I'm happy. It's been a day of back-to-back surprises for nonprofits, and I got to take a break and come sit here with you. So thanks for giving me my break.
Awesome. And thank you to Miami Community Newspaper for giving this space as in-kind. This is amazing, and supporting nonprofits since day one. They've been so supportive with so many nonprofits. So huge shout out for them. And so let's start with Rebecca. So people know Rebecca from the Miami Foundation. They know you're incredible. By the way, last time I heard you speak, it was at the Novo Awards that you gave it was like a 10-minute presentation, and it was on fire.
Thank you. It was
because you started with data, but it was like a call to action. It was education and awareness, and it was like it was so hyper local of why does it matter? Miami doesn't need a savior. Miami needs you. Miami needs me, needs us. We are the ones that have to be the agents of change. And I thought that was amazing.
Thank you.
How you brought that fire. And I think you spoke to every sector, the business, private, and community sector, etc. So let's go back to, I want to focus Rebecca, the young girl, right? How childhood Rebecca.
Okay.
And what we see now this amazing Rebecca. I want to know about how did it get started? How did you choose this path? And so go ahead.
Oof, go ahead. I mean, there's a million versions every person can tell about themselves and how they ended up where they are. I would say flashing forward to where I am, I get to wake up every day and do what I love. And I wish that for everybody to be able to wake up every day and just feel on fire doing the thing they love. And I think for me, it's been a journey figuring out what do I love? What do I want to spend my time doing? What do I believe in? And I think those values were set really young from the beginning for me in my childhood. And I've just been kind of following the path. I think biggest influence for me was just understanding what my family had been through in the last few generations when I was a young person, and why things happened to them, and how they had to recover. My grandparents were refugees during World War II, came here, had lost everything, and had to really rebuild. And I think it was very traumatic. There's real generational trauma in what happens when you lose your parents, when you lose your siblings, when you go from being successful to all of a sudden having to sweep floors. Yeah. And I think I could see that trauma in my grandparents. I could see then for my parents, having grown up with parents who were traumatized, how that impacted them, and how then they raised me, and just kind of swimming in the environment there, seeing what the impact was of the way that their childhoods and their histories impacted them. I think it shook me and made me feel like I need to live a life of purpose. Yes. I understood, she survived, they survived because strangers were kind to them. And what she used to say to me was, they could take everything from me, but the education in my head, you can't take away. So that was when I graduated from college. My first job was to go teach, and it just kept the doors opened from that choice.
okay, so you mentioned your grandmother. From your family, who do you think had the most influence? And I'm sure everyone had an influence, and there was a culture there, but also who was that person that you feel like this person, marked me?
It's so interesting. So, I don't think I realized until she was gone that my maternal grandmother had such an impact on me. She's a really tough woman. And actually, she was the first in our family to really fall in love with Miami. Because I grew up in New York and then New Jersey. But she used to come down here during the winters because it was cold up in New York. And she'd come with a little suitcase and she'd stay at the Days Inn on Miami, like a 2-star hotel or motel on Miami Beach. And she would walk up and down the boardwalk and stay there for a month. And I saw how she loved this place. But she, I don't think I realized how she shaped me and how her story impacted me until she was gone.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear. And I'm sure she's proud of you, of everything that you've created. And actually, after World War II, a lot of social sciences actually emerged and developed because of families that had that intergenerational trauma wanted to understand why it happened, right? And how we do not repeat the trauma of wars and everything. So and it's so important to understand the past of someone and who inspires us. So now that you mentioned your grandmother, you're growing up, then you go to college, and what did you decide to study?
Oh man. So, I came to college and it was I was scared when I got there. I was at this fancy school and I had done really well in high school and I was at the top of my class, but then you get to college and everyone there was the one at the top of their class. And so I had total imposter syndrome. And I remember I would start each semester and I would audit a dozen classes, just to see, can I hold my own in this class? Am I gonna be okay in this class? And I remember my first year there, just feeling really anxious. I don't know what to study. I'm not sure which course to take. And I majored in 2 things: communications and nonverbal communication in particular, which I find super fascinating.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just experiencing people's body language and what they're saying, even when they're not speaking. That was a passion for me, and I couldn't even believe that there was a study of this. And then my other degree was in psychology. So fun that you mentioned it before. But, things that I feel like they weren't going to become my course of work, but they shaped who I am.
That's incredible. And now that you mentioned nonverbal, Amy Cuddy. So I am a big fan of hers, and her book of presence and everything. And so, yeah, definitely. And you have that same kind of energy, I think, now that I look at it. So when you were studying, you said, okay, I'm going to learn all of this, which, by the way, when you studied that was that was not very common or commercial. Because when you study the nonverbal, there's more studies now on that.
Right.
So you kind of,
it was
went
a surprise. Yeah, it was very cool. But I will say, for me, college and high school too, it wasn't actually about what I was studying. It was all the stuff on the side. I was a hyper engaged kid. I was on an acapella group. I was, you
were always involved.
Any newspaper or the performances of different kinds. I feel like I tried to get involved in all sorts of different avenues. And I feel like that's the stuff that actually shaped me and gave me leadership experience and confidence. A debate team actually in high school was super exciting for me, extemporaneous speaking. And so, part of it was the classes you choose and what you major in, but actually I don't think that's what set me on my path or taught me what I'm great at. I think it was all that extra stuff.
Oh wow, that's incredible. Sometimes you hear people say it's the extracurricular that actually shaped me, not the actual career that I chose.
Yeah.
And so once you graduate, how is it that you say, I'm going to go into teaching? What is that moment, or was it several moments that you said, my thing is teaching? Because you could have chosen, let me have a consulting, or let me have just hear patients.
Yeah.
Why did you choose? Because teaching has a lot of psychology, but it's more, of course, it's engaging. It's more kinesthetic, and it's different.
So the truth is, I didn't choose teaching. And teaching is an incredible profession, and everyone who does it, I have so much admiration for them. But what I chose to do was teach for America, which is a slightly different thing. What I chose to do was fight against an issue that bothered me, which was that low-income kids are not getting the same quality public school education as high-income kids. When you look to see the quality of our public school system across the country, your zip code dictates often the quality of the free education you're going to receive.
Right.
And this bothered me. And so what I enlisted to do for 2 years wasn't just to teach, it was to become a champion for that issue, to learn about it hands-on, to try to do everything I could to change the future for my students, but also to be a part of a group of people who really care about that and will fight that.
So it was more of a advocacy policy thing and, you know, taking action.
Yeah. It was about public service.
Public service. And then after that, were you here? After that, what happened? You came to Miami?
Yeah. So I, first of all, I loved being a teacher. It was just what an experience, and my kids were so brilliant, and I learned so much from them and from being a teacher. And then after my 2 years of service were up, I basically applied to Teach for America. They had all these jobs at the home office, and I was like, I love this organization. I believe so much in this organization. I don't really understand how the back office works, so I'm just going to apply to every job, and you're going to put me, like, you know me, you've seen me in my classroom, you've seen me as part of this network, place me somewhere. And so they placed me as somebody who was training the new teachers, and then they just kept promoting me and putting me into leadership positions. And I believed so much in the work. I loved the people I was working with. And I remember I was thinking about getting my PhD in education, and I wanted to go to Boston to some of the schools that are up there, have some really interesting educational leadership programs. And so I asked the CEO, hey, I heard you're opening up shop in Boston. Do you need somebody to be the managing director in Boston? And he was like, no, but would you consider Miami?
No way.
I was like, Miami, Miami, interesting. And that is how I ended up here to be the executive director. It was an accident.
That's amazing. So you when you get here, what year was that?
God, it's like 07, 08.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get here. How was that transition at the beginning? Was it exciting?
Yeah. So first of all,
shock?
I'm married. Okay. And I get this opportunity to be the executive director in Miami. This is new. This is a new community. My husband has a job up in New York, and he's like, do I unemploy my husband so that he can come and support me here? And so we had a bit of like, is this permanent? Are we really going to do this? Will this just be, it was a bit of a turnaround role. So maybe I'll go for 2 years and lead in this way, and then we'll come back to New York where all of our friends and our network is. And I came down, I didn't really know. I knew one person, one friend, and I couldn't find my people right away. The culture here was really different. The vibe was super different. And I wasn't sure if this was going to be for me. And it took me about 2 years, and I fell in love with this place and realized like I could have an impact here in a really different way than I could back in New York.
Yeah, and you can bring like this, all the things that you had learned and bring, open access to other things that maybe in Miami they were missing or they were not in place.
Yeah.
And so you had this other vision, right? That and you saw the opportunity for growth. So once you're here, but by the way, your babies were born here?
Oh yeah, they're Miami babies.
Okay.
But I'll say this, here's what I saw in Miami. Like, think about where Miami was in 2008, 2007. So I was running an organization whose focus was talent. We were recruiting talent to come to Miami, and we were bleeding talent back then. It was really hard for us to recruit people to want to come and build things here and stay here. And often we would see top talent graduate, get into great schools elsewhere, and it was hard to convince them to come back because the great jobs weren't here. If you were building a business here and you needed venture capital, people would tell you to your face you needed to go to California or New York, or they wouldn't invest in you. And what I saw when I got here was there's a core group of people who really believe in this place, and it's not fully formed yet. And there's a chance here to actually be a part of the shaping of a future of a community. Like, New York is formed, and the circles of power
Everything
there
is
are
invented.
structured.
Yeah.
Yes, but here it's fresh. And I think the same thing that was chasing other people away, they were looking for opportunity elsewhere. It was like, no, you don't understand. Like, the opportunity's here. Be a part of the creation of something here. And it was a really magical decade for the people who've been involved here, hyping up Miami, since 2000. It's amazing now. I feel like we all need hats that say "I told you so."
Yeah, exactly. And when a lot of people, like either elected officials, they'll say like, I've been talking about like the tech ecosystem of Miami, but they're referring to that infrastructure. But I feel like when now that you're here, you've been here for so many years, you've pretty much built with other group, like what other networks, like social impact infrastructure. It's like you're the one pioneering it along with others, but you shared that vision, you vocalized it, you brought
so
like
never
the
give
people.
me solo credit, but I would say like my obsession has been building coalition with all the change makers in Miami. And when I left Teach for America and founded Radical Partners, that was my heart.
Beautiful.
It's like it was a passion project out of my soul. Like I see all of these amazing people in Miami building things that matter to the future of this place, and they need support and resources and a network, and they need to scale. And that became the business model. Help these leaders scale, and not do it alone. Do it with each other.
Love that. Which now, Joanne, who's amazing. Now I love her, and she was at our FCC International Forum, and she was one of the panelists, and she was crushing it. And I'm sure she learned a lot from you as well.
And from her.
Yeah, it's like a mutual beneficial relationship. But I just think it's so cool to have women in leadership, like mentors, and there's I just think it's beautiful to have that in the ecosystem. So here that now, okay, tell me about Radical Partners, and then we're gonna go to the Miami Foundation.
What do you want to know?
So you build Radical Partners with that focus. How many years were you there at Radical Partners?
8-ish years, like around 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know that I even expected it to scale the way that it did and become an organization employing, a dozen people. And to see the network of the leaders who have come out of the leadership programs, 150
Beautiful.
of the most outstanding social impact leaders in our community. And I remember for many of them, when they came through the boot camps that we ran, they weren't even paying themselves yet. They were at the very beginning of their journey. And it's like, I believe in this person. Yeah. They're incredible. And what they need is for people to back them. Can we get people to back them and, help them get the resources and the infrastructure they need to scale? And I love now looking around and seeing these bosses doing incredible things in Miami and feeling like I got to be a part of that legacy. It's like so
That's
much
beautiful.
fun.
You get to see the fruits of the labor, like everything that you've invested. And then how is that then that you go to, can you share us a little bit about how then you transition to the Miami Foundation?
Sure. So for those who are not familiar with what Radical Partners was, it's an accelerator for social impact. So we were running these boot camps and leadership programs to help scale social impact ventures. And we had a for-profit arm running accelerator programs and coaching and scaling businesses. Some of them are for-profit, some of them are nonprofit, all with a cause. And then we had a nonprofit arm that was creating scholarships for people who couldn't afford to participate in the programs and do a variety of other community initiatives. And I needed somewhere to house my nonprofit arm. And I knew the Miami Foundation because I had participated in their Miami Fellows program, which is the best program. And so I loved this place. And I looked to Ruth and to Javier as leaders. And I remember sitting down with Javier. It was actually the day that we were selecting the last cohort of fellows. And before I leave, he says, come to my office. I need to tell you something. And he lets me know that soon he's going to be announcing that he's leaving.
God.
And I was like, oh. And you have to remember, I'm literally running my dream organization that I built myself with a team that I love. I'm not looking for a job. And I remember going home that day and looking at my husband in the eyes and being like, well, shoot, I think I'm supposed to, I think this is what I'm supposed to do next. I just had this feeling, and I wasn't looking for that. But the moment that, I looked him in the eyes and understood that he was leaving, and that this organization that I believe in so much was ready for a whole new chapter, I was like, my God, what good I could do there. What good could I do? And it hooked me, and I applied.
And then when you apply and it goes well, I'm assuming you did everything else to leave Radical Partners in the perfect
I did my best, yes.
Right? And then you take over the Miami Foundation. So I want to focus now everything on the Miami Foundation, the beginning of it. what were the things that you said, we need to change this, we need to do this, and then how Give Miami Day is birthed? Because I want to focus, like, we have to, that's like the Give, like the Miami Foundation had a big baby, that's Give Miami Day. It has many babies, but Give Miami Day is a big
our
one.
Star baby.
That's a star baby, which we're celebrating today. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I will tell you, I started this role at the very beginning of COVID, and nobody knew this, and I've never said this in any interview, so you're my first to say this to you. I had long COVID when I started this job.
Stop it. Oh my God. Wait, was this in like, you started like in March, February?
I signed my contract in February 2020.
Oh my God.
We didn't know that COVID was going to be what it was. Yeah. But I had traveled to Italy in 2019 and I had gotten unspecified pneumonia and I was really sick. I remember when I went to my interview, it was after being sick and you're in recovery, but it was a long recovery. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and none of the doctors knew what was wrong with me. I was like, I lost my sense of taste, I lost my sense of smell, and this was before. This was before things shut down. I remember the doctors looking at me and being like, "This is psychosomatic. You have anxiety,
it's stress related."
Nobody loses their sense of smell. It's like, I promise. But when I started in this role, it was I wanted to start in June. I wanted to accept the role end of February, March, and then have a few months to shut down Radical Partners or transition. And it was like, no, you don't understand. This is going to be bad. And this foundation has a very important responsibility in our community. We need a leader immediately.
Oh
Go.
my God.
And so I ended up actually, while recovering, leading Radical Partners, figuring out a transition, and starting early behind the scenes to just make sure that we had a recovery plan for our community philanthropically at the beginning of COVID. It was bananas.
It was crazy.
It was bananas. But it was also really inspiring because I learned what the foundation has the potential to do for our community, because things were on fire and we needed to step up, and so we did. And it was just, I couldn't ask for a better introduction to any organization.
There was no time to wait and like do a gradual, let's get ready. No, it was like, let's go to it's crazy.
I didn't know my team yet. I didn't know my board yet. Like, we didn't have trust. I didn't get to do, a listening tour. It was like, go immediately. And what we saw at the beginning of COVID was 100,000 kids who don't have access to the internet in their house. And schools are shut down, and everyone has their own strategy for how they're going to solve the problem. And I thought to myself, I can see all the moving pieces from this foundation. We have all these people trying to move money through our foundation. We have all the nonprofits on the ground asking us for the resources they need. Just get everyone around a table together. We have the power in this moment to actually orchestrate a solution at scale for our community. And I was brand new, but I was like, I think I understand what we're meant to do in this moment. And it was really inspiring to be able to learn that role in an active moment of need.
That is amazing. That is crazy. I didn't even know that specifically, that you had started exactly in that date, during that date. But it's crazy how it's 2024 ending, right? So you've been here for almost 5 years, but it's like 4, almost 5. But it's crazy the amount of things you've done. It's like fresh energy. You came and you brought you created a whole movement. And just like what you did in Radical Partners of accelerating leaders, I see the Miami Foundation as like that platform to elevate, give leverage to all these other leaders.
Thank you.
Give them the tools, right? Sharpen your tools. And you believed, you and your team, because you have a beautiful team as well. They're amazing. They're amazing. And the fact that they elevate, believe in others, like you've, right? It's like como una cadena, like in Spanish, right? Mm-hmm. You've created this this contagious spirit, and it sinks in the culture. You can see it, and you see it even before Give Miami Day. It's not even about Give Miami Day. So I want to ask you, before we go into Give Miami Day, can you tell me? And usually I like to share these with our youth. Can you tell me one amazing moment that you have in your career, and it could be within the Miami Foundation, that you thought, oh my God, this is amazing. We did it. I learned X, Y, and Z. And then one moment that it was probably the most difficult, the most heartbreaking, one of the and what happened then, right? And it could be with whatever. So these are like I call it like the lessons of leadership, right? That we all go through. Just like we had personal trauma, sometimes corporate trauma, or people think that nonprofit work is like, it's like, it's so beautiful. You get to do, it is beautiful. It is a privilege, but it is hard at times. And people don't get to know that. So do you have
I'll start with the hard and then I'll get to the good.
Okay.
And the thing is, if I do one thing right as a leader, two things right. One is it's all about the people. You have to build great culture on your team and hire great people. And so the biggest and most important struggle for me when I got there was to understand, what's the culture now? What do I need the culture to be in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish? And how do we get it there?
Okay.
And how to build when I haven't gotten it there yet.
Oh, wow.
And so I think my biggest lessons have been about, I'm scaling this foundation. Am I catching up the team fast enough? Like, are we ready for the big vision things I'm trying to accomplish? And so I would say, so the second thing for me, in addition to team, is comfort with failure. I cannot innovate with this organization. I cannot do bold, brave things if I am not willing to fail and learn. And I'm in a very public position. I have to be willing to try and fail and learn publicly,
and
make it okay. And make it okay for my team to be brave in moments and try things.
Yes.
And so, if you could imagine, for us, we have grown this foundation by $200 million over the last 4 years. So $500 million institution. So we're almost doubled in size. So what that means is the amount of money coming in, the amount of money going out, the amount of initiatives that we are overseeing with complex projects and team members and goals, the volume is nearly double. And so what that means as you grow a team is that half the people are brand new in their job.
Yep.
And all the initiatives they're brand new. We're new at what we're doing. And the first time you do anything, it takes longer and it's clunky and it's hard. And so, for example, that initiative with the internet access, our goal was to connect 100,000 people to the internet. I thought the hardest part was going to be raising the $50 million that we estimated it would cost. It wasn't. It wasn't about raising the money. The hardest part was compelling people who are totally disconnected that I'm going to pay for your internet. Trust me, I'm going to pay for your internet. Stay on the phone with me while we sign up with Comcast.
Wow.
And going door to door and convincing people to sign up, that was the hardest part. And I remember when we first started, people threw money in, and we were like, we got the money, we can't get people to sign up. The numbers aren't good. What are we going to? It's going to be embarrassing. And we had to be willing to stick with it long enough for it to be successful. In the end, that initiative helped connect over 300,000 people to the internet. But
Incredible.
it took us taking a pie in the face for a couple months and people asking, what do the numbers look like? Not good. What are the numbers? Not good.
You have
but
to
I'm
build
not
the trust
giving it
first.
up.
Exactly.
And I need to figure out, we tried a million different processes and each one didn't make sense for another reason. And we're going to staff it this way, didn't work. Staff it that way, didn't work. We're going to partner with organizations, it didn't work. We had to fail our way there, but we got there in the end.
Wow, beautiful.
And so I think for me, the lessons have been about resilience and sticking with something and trying and innovating long enough.
Love it.
To get to the conclusion, but also about like readying a team to do something when nobody has done this yet here, and we're all new as we do it. And I think part of that culture that you may be feeling is, we had to make it okay for the team members to be brave.
I love that. It's the agility to change, right? The agility to take in data, not take it personal, and say, okay, we're going to pivot. And that's what you did. And then, but in order to do that safely, right, it's creating that culture. So that's beautiful. That's two parallel lessons there. That's amazing. And then I want you to share, how did Give Miami Day start?
Yeah, it's a cool story.
And
so
why? Yeah.
There was a study that the Knight Foundation funded, and I want to say 2012, called The Soul of the Community. And they studied communities across the country. They're in their different Knight cities to say, like, how connected are people to their own city? And Miami had the lowest civic health in the country of all the cities that were measured. And this wasn't the only study that said that. AmeriCorps every 2 years also puts out a study about civic health. And Miami consistently lowest voter turnout, lowest volunteer rates, lowest donation rates. And so there was a lot of concern about, well, what do we do to help people in Miami feel proud to live here, feel like they want to engage locally? What can we do? And Alberto over at the Knight Foundation and Javier at the Miami Foundation, they talked about, there are these giving days that are popping up in other places in the country have, and you know, if I gave you some seed funding at the Miami Foundation, would you try hosting one of these giving days? It seems like it can engage the community to feel inspired and proud to give back. And I remember in that first year, I think the goal was like to raise $500,000. And they ended up raising $1 million that year.
Oh my God. Wait, what year was that?
It was 2012.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. And it has grown from there. And it's been fun because I used to participate as a nonprofit. And then when I was at Radical Partners, I participated. Now
you get to lead it.
I know, it's really fun,
Crazy.
but I have loved this day. This has been my favorite day of the year for 12 years. And to watch it grow into what it's become, it's really amazing. You know, last year we had 96,000 donations.
That is crazy.
96,000. It's the volume is so high. And when I think about what they were trying to accomplish, to try to get people locally to care and to find whatever your cause is, come care about your cause, give back to whatever you care about, and to see 96,000 love letters like that,
oh
it's
my God,
beautiful.
It's beautiful. That is incredible. And last year, what was the goal last year?
Monetarily or people?
People and monetarily.
Yeah. So I think we were shooting for 50,000 households to participate and 100,000 donations. We came so close. And, you know, over $30 million, 33, 34, we wanted to be somewhere over 30.
But how has it grown? I mean, it's crazy.
It's
like
wild.
From $500,000 and now.
Yeah. So when I came to the foundation, I think that year we had raised $14 million.
Wow.
And so we have seen the doubling of this day. And the thing is, I've started, you know, once we hit $30 million, I stopped focusing on the cash as the main metric. Because the thing is, if I wanted more dollars on this day, I could go talk to a couple of the largest philanthropists and just say, give your donation on this day.
Yeah.
That's
it's not about writing the check. It's actually the engagement.
It's volume.
Yes.
I need every nonprofit to have the number of supporters they need to be healthy and safe. That they should never be that one donor doesn't give this year and my organization crumbles.
Exactly.
That you need to have a rallying of support, and also that I want Miami to be healthy and for us to be the kind of community where everyone feels proud and involved in giving back. And so what I'm really focusing on is volume of participants.
Yes, I love that. And also, it's just that it has become such a culture that you literally create so many nonprofits connect, and then also you have this array of like all these different nonprofits that you didn't know existed that are providing incredible services, and you're like, oh my God. And it's because Give Miami Day. So it's not only what you said about the funding itself, it's intrinsically caring for the causes, knowing about it, being able to refer. It creates such a beautiful community for nonprofit social impact organizations and for families. We're gonna have our own activity that, you know, with play. So we're gonna do like a soccer tournament, but it's like Friendsgiving and whatever. And every organization has its own initiative. When we met like 3 months ago, you told me something beautiful that you were doing with kids that I thought was incredible. That brilliant initiative with that. Can you explain what you're doing this year with kids?
Yeah. So first of all, I just have to give the high five to my team. We looked this year ahead at Give Miami Day, and we said our goal is we want to figure out how to engage 200,000 households. It might not happen this year, but over the next 5 years, let's figure out on this day how we engage 200,000 households. How are we going to do that? And we thought about how we need to access families and kids and get them excited about this day. And so they brainstormed, like, what are we going to do to engage kids? And they came up with this concept. We're going to have a youth vote. Get kids to vote on the issue area they care about most, and then we're going to give a prize to the issue area that kids care about. And so what we've been doing is going to schools and farmers markets and other events around community, and we set up shop with 10 bins, basically, and each of the bins has an issue area on it, one of the 10 big issue areas on Give Miami Day. So health and the environment and education. And we give kids a coin. And then talk a bit about what issues they care about, and then they vote with their coin. And each of the coins has a monetary amount to it. So no matter where they give, we're going to make a donation based on where they gave. But what's been really fun to see is we've been doing these at schools where there's hundreds of kids in the room. They all get up and vote, and there's clearly an issue area that school cares about most. And we can see them like cheering for the thing they care about, getting so passionate about it.
I saw the video that you posted. Was it 2 days ago?
Cute, yes.
That is beautiful. They were like, yeah, they were going crazy. And you would think, but that's that civic engagement at its earliest stage. That's when we should get them started.
Right.
So,
but then what happens is all the kids go home that day and they get a little certificate that says, you know, Mom and Dad, today I made a donation to, or we made a donation in their honor to, you know, economic development. And they get to talk with their families about why they chose what they chose. And by the way, it's Give Miami Day. Come get involved in Give Miami Day. And so this is an effort for us to get families talking about, what do you care about?
I love that. That is beautiful. And you have the Give Miami Day merch as well.
We have so
much. Can you, because I know we're over, but it's like, I can speak with Rebecca. We can stay here, like we can have lunch here and talk. So Rebecca, can you give a call to action?
Yes.
To all of our lovely listeners.
Call to action. So first of all, thank you so much for hosting me. For anyone who is tuning in, this is Miami's Week. All year round, there are over 1,000 organizations who all they do is stand up for Miami, whatever issue area it is that you care about, environment, health, education. There are people who they step up for us and protect those issues all year round. This is our turn to step up for them. This is our week to step up for them. Starting on Sunday, early giving opens, and then it ends on November 21st on Give Miami Day. If you haven't been on that website yet, get on there. Go find the cause that you care about. And it doesn't matter whether you're giving $25, and we'll match it, by the way, or whether you give $25,000. But find the cause you care about. Get your family involved. We want every person who lives in Miami involved and giving back. That's my call to action.
Yay! Everyone, it starts on Sunday. So yeah, thank you so much. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thanks for hosting me.
She's on fire. I love it. It's contagious. And thank you for taking the time. You intrinsically care about Miami. I love this.
You do
and
too.
I do too. I mean, I care about my kids. You care about your kids. I mean, there's so many things we care about. But I love how you view Miami with such with so much love and it's like potential, all the potential, and you've seen it grown. So I'm just honored and proud to have you here, and I wish to see more women in leadership doing and building teams and being caring. So thank you so much for having you.
Thank you.